Next time you're at an intersection at a red light, stop and count some signs. Yeah, so you multiply that. There's a great need for road signage, and you look at them all the time. It's just something you don't think you see every day. It's just once you bring your attention and see how many signs are out there. And of course, there's a lot of neglected signs too, because there is some upkeep on these between the weather and the sun, the snow, the salt, that kind of thing. So there always is going to be a need for signs.
"40 Years of the Business Journal" is sponsored by Compco and these participating sponsors.
My father was a land surveyor in the 80s, and things were kind of drying up, steel mills were shutting down, and he found he needed to do something else. I was going into high school, and my mom was ready to go back to work, so he thought it was a good time actually to get us kids busy and something to do. I was the youngest, so I was the last one coming up the ranks, but so he bought this little business. It was somewhat established. The guy that had it before was more pushing the little things that you put on the end, the snow plows. That's how I understand it. But there was a great need for signs. As he went to townships, municipalities, they just were like, where do we get signs? So he kind of started dabbling in it. Well, it was a little more than he wanted to bite off. So my dad, he and my mother purchased it in 1984. Suddenly there was a big tornado that went through, and my mom says that's when they learned how to make signs real fast. When it hit Newton Falls and down into PA. So that's kind of neat background story. They learned real quick how to make signs. And they brought it with about a force of 3, I think, if I remember right, a few salespeople and a shop guy that kind of got Dad moving on the silk screening end of it. And of course, my mom picked up and ran with the office right away. She was, before kids, she worked in plants and such. So I think she was eager to get back and organize things, and she did a fine job, because we stepped into something very great that they built up.
We started mainly as traffic signs, and so I guess our main niche is reflective traffic signs, but that has spawned out from that to also a lot of custom signs. We deal a lot with contractors and apparel that's brought in. Contractors come in for safety vests, safety coats. Not too much in electronics, but mainly our main niche is reflective traffic signs. However, we can do about anything. We can print vinyl signs, vinyl graphics. We do some truck lettering, vehicle lettering, mainly trucks and commercial vehicles. Our main customers are probably township municipalities, and we get up north to the lake, probably west to 77 and down to 70, and like Beaver, Allegheny, not too much Allegheny, Beaver, Lawrence County, I would say are townships. But we also sell a lot to property managers that have malls, hospitals, and that we'll ship all over the country if we have to.
We laugh because when we'd bring aluminum in, we would get, I would order maybe 50 36 by 36 size at a time, which is a decent size sign. And my dad said when they first started, they would buy 3 to 4 of those pieces a year. So of course, that's 35, 40 years ago. So it has grown with just, I guess, getting word out and our abilities of what we can do. Obviously, before it was just die cut letters, and we only had certain size dies, so we had to make things 4-inch, 6-inch, or 3-inch, whatever, and everything was laid out by hand with masking tape, and then she'd kind of just lay it out and get it spaced, and then put little marks on each place where the A goes, where the T goes, where, and so on. And then she'd tack it down. It was very interesting how far we've come. Of course, there was a whole lot less waste back then because we were die cutting, nesting things all together. But when the plotter come along, you're using that whole 36 by 36 piece of vinyl, so you're wasting all that stuff inside of there, but that's kind of how we've evolved, just with technology, just like anything else.
We can do full digital print. We can print on reflective too, which is kind of a niche in itself. So we can, and we can print about anything that you require. We don't get into real artsy type stuff, but most of our signs we try to make legible and simple, I guess. Although we do get into some complicated artwork, but we're not really artists here, but I would say more graphic design.
My brother and I work very well together. I think we're on the same page. I think that's a perk in our family business. We think alike. We want to do good. That just as we were raised, our parents came in the same way. You know, starting this business, they wanted to give a good service, and that's the thing. It's a great service. You know, it's something you got to be proud of, because it can really aid in the life and death of a lot of situations. You know, when there's an emergency, when there's a flood, we are like the important people, which is kind of cool, which is not really kind of cool, but you know, we can dish it out real quick and hopefully make the area safe again, and hopefully that goes a long way.
We've expanded, add more products that kind of go in line with the traffic signs that the townships and municipalities and contractors would require. So they come in a lot, you know, and they'll see something and they go, oh, well, we could use that, or they'll ask us or whatever. So we used to sell a lot of hand tools too, like shovels and rake or whatever here, and that's part of the business kind of dropped off, but we always carried Ames, which was a very quality material, and the contractors that used a shovel, they would know that they could get a good shovel here, and that's kind of, we still do that, but it's not as big as a part of the business as it was at one time.
We're a great place for Christmas gifts. If you got somebody that they have everything, they probably won't have this. So we can do custom things. We can do business signs, logos. Here again, we're not real fancy. Our objective is for people to read it driving by 45, 55, even 25 miles an hour. You don't realize how small things can get when you're passing by. So our objective is to make it clean, legible fonts. Even with the logos, you know, sometimes the logos are meant to be seen up close and not from a distance. So we try to guide them through that to make sure it's most visible, they get the biggest bang for their buck, and make sure they can pull in the parking lot and see what they provide. Next time you're at an intersection at a red light, stop and count some signs. Yeah, so you multiply that. There's a great need for road signage, and you look at them all the time. It's just something you don't think you see every day. It's just once you bring your attention and see how many signs are out there. And of course, there's a lot of neglected signs too, because there is some upkeep on these between the weather and the sun, the snow, the salt, that kind of thing. So there always is going to be a need for signs.
"40 Years of the Business Journal" is sponsored by Comco and these participating sponsors.